Usually, a casual anime viewer looks for a few things in an anime show: an entertaining story with some twists, likable characters, great animation, and, why not, good music. And boy, this show has the music. Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040 would not be passing the test of time either on story or fan service. But when it comes down to the music, it becomes memorable. It's just that good. I will be talking about the score in a minute, but first, I want to point out for you guys that are eagerly waiting for the release of Cyberpunk 2077 and are looking to dive into the cyberpunk genre, this might be one of the greatest fixes for you. At time of recording, we are just a few weeks from release of what might be one of the games of a generation. Every time I get the opportunity to watch a movie or show based on the cyberpunk genre, I just consume it. Remember, one of the best cyberpunk movies of all times was an anime one, Akira. Although Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040 has nothing to do with Akira, neither on tone or storytelling, a show like this would not have been possible without the legacy. Set in a not so distant futuristic Tokyo, most of human jobs has been replaced with robots, called boomers. These robots are manufactured by the megacorp Genom. They come in different sizes and forms. Some of them are straight-up robots that usually perform hard manual labor, but there are also humanoid-like robots which interact directly with humans on service roles. Now that I think of it, it's kind of unfair to call them robots because they are more than that. They are synthetic life forms. They are more like androids, although most of them are not sentient and do not have the capacity to think by themselves. Either way, sometime in a while, one of these androids become crazy and go into a murder spree. The government and megacorps like Genom try to keep this outbreak in secret and publicly deny that these sporadic events are even possible. A boomer cannot become a boomer. Yes, there is two different ways to pronounce it. A boomer is the original name of the android, while a boomer is when they become crazy. Confusing? Lazy writing, I will say, but I digress. Moving on. The government, with funding from the megacorps, decided to create a specialized police department called the AD Police, whose popularity made few spin-offs of the series, to stop these rogue boomers and clean up the mess they leave behind. But there is something else. A group of vigilantes that are better equipped and prepared than the police to stop these androids, the Knight Sabers. These vigilantes wear specialist suits of armor and are trained not only to succeed in battle but also to do it efficiently. Of course, there is an unhealthy competition between the AD police and the Knight Sabers to stop rogue boomers to the point that they become wanted by the government. Genom Megacorp serves as a main villain entity, but beyond of trying to destroy the Knight Sabers, they want to capture them to study their suits and how they are made, which brings a ton of action scenes and a few twists here and there. The world in this story is light and bright. Even though that is a straight-up cyberpunk series, it's the counterpart of the dark and gritty tone of other presentations, which proves the flexibility of the genre and another ways to tell the story. There is a ton of fighting and long action scenes that are recurrent but have a purpose. They never feel wasted, in my opinion. It also has some fan service in it, which fits perfect into the story and the characters in it. I really like the softness of it, and it definitely added to the story without being distracting. The show is about teamwork mostly, and how different kind of personalities can improve each other to turn into an outstanding team in order to achieve a common goal. However, the best part of the show is the music, which I will address in a minute. Next, let's talk about the characters. Our main heroines are the Knight Sabers, the newcomer Linna Yamazaki, the lovable Nene Romanova, and the strong, self-driven Priscilla Asagiri, all of them led by Sylia Stingray, a decided character whose motives are revealed throughout the series. So let's start with her. Sylia is the businesswoman that puts this team together, and part of this show is about on how to keep a team of young women together fighting for her cause. Early on, we realize that she actually pays in cash her Knight Sabers for the job, which is kind of interesting because we usually don't see heroes on a payroll. Therefore, the motivations are in question, which is very interesting in my opinion. She's struggling with an event that happened a few years back, which serves as a motivation. She also has some layers of depth, some of them dark, which makes her a deeper character. I like this character and her portrayal. She is an almost retired veteran, and when we are revealed her full motives, she is not afraid to face the consequences by her own and thus protecting her girls. Next, we have Priscilla. She is the team leader on the field. She's strong, dark, and selfish, although she is willing to go first always. She's also a singer, and most songs in the show are sung by her. She is really good. Every time she's on screen, you know things are going to get interesting, to say the least. She starts kind of weak in the story, but ends on a very strong note. Nene is the lovable, cute character. At the beginning, she feels like a throwaway character whose only purpose in the story is for fan service. However, the story expands on her by the middle of the show and starts to show some depth. She works on the AD police and is an expert on computers. Because of that, she has a pivotal role on the Knight Sabers operations. Finally, Linna, who is the newcomer and the first character we are introduced to, is the outsider, who is a big fan of the legendary Knight Sabers and wants to join the team whatever it takes. She is a relatable character, and the show makes a great job introducing her. However, she dissolves into the background about halfway through the series. She works on an office that is responsible to register and file the Android malfunctions. She has to deal with some harassment with her boss at the beginning, which starts like an eye roller but ends in a really funny moment. She handles the whole situation pretty well. The villains are weak in my opinion and are the weakest part of the story. I like how the portrayal of an evil megacorp is introduced in the series. It's very cyberpunk-like, fits perfectly into the world, but the people in it are just uninteresting. It's hard to talk about them without spoilers, so I'm just going to leave it there. The supporting cast is great. Leon is an AD cop who becomes interested in one of the Knight Sabers. He's really funny on his alpha male role, very relatable, and one of the best characters on the third part of the story. Nigel, who is the mechanic behind the Knight Sabers armor, has a bike shop where he spends most of his time. Is mysterious and silent, but not more mysterious than Maki, a boy that he takes as a protege by the second third of the show. There is really nothing I can say about the boomers. They are just there. That's it. Overall, the characters are really fun and add to the story, except for the villains, who are by far the weakest part of the show that end up hurting the story as a whole. The story is fun and the characters are likable. There is a ton of action and top-notch animation, especially remarkable for a production of that time. There are no throwaway episodes, every single one serves the story overall. However, I have problems on how the story is told from the character's perspective. It feels unnatural and forced. Let me explain. Linna takes the focus on the first third of the show. Then Nene takes on the second third, and finally Priscilla the last one. The problem here is that when we reach to the last part of the show, we barely remember Linna, and Nene is just there. Although both of them still appear, and Nene especially has some moments by the end, Priscilla is obviously the main character that overshadows them by far at that point. The last two episodes, which were not supposed to air originally on TV, and when you watch it you will know why, fell short in my opinion, and hurt the story. This could have been fixed with an extra episode or maybe a movie, which never came. Therefore, the ending feels rushed, at least to me. And yes, there is some nudity in it, so not for kids. Finally, let's address the big elephant in the room, the remarkable and outstanding score that this show has. This is what makes this show unique in my opinion. Now, for copyright reasons, I cannot play any sample of it, but when you hear the opening song, you know you are in for a treat. The outro also is pretty good. Priscilla sings a ton of original songs throughout the series, all of them punk rock that fits perfectly into the world. This is the perfect example on how an average story can become a great story on the music alone. Actually, all of the episodes are named after a song or album of world-famous rock bands. For example, episode 13 is named Atom Heart Mother by Pink Floyd. Episode 19 is named Are You Experienced by Jimi Hendrix. And episode 24, Light My Fire by The Doors. The whole show is a tribute to music. The score between action scenes are very memorable and adds to the story. The music is simply another character that takes life, and for that it adds another point in my rating. Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040 is a 7 out of 10. Good story that is hurt by the storytelling and the weak villains. Outstanding animation, and if you love punk rock based on a cyberpunk world, this is a show that you should definitely watch. It has its audience though, so I cannot recommend it to everyone. But I really like it, and I think you should check it out too. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I hope that today is the day that you're considering on doing so. And now that you are thinking on that, you can also think on smashing that like button. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you again very soon.